Imagine you're a CIO at a Fortune 500 company. A $500,000 software renewal just landed on your desk. Same vendor, same product. You've been paying this bill for 6 years. But this year, something is different. Your engineering team pulls you aside and says, "We can just build this ourselves with AI tools in about 3 weeks." Do you sign the renewal? That one question, that one single question, triggered an $830 billion sell-off in Wall Street. Not a recession, not a war, not a fraud scandal, just a question. And the more you dig into it, the more you realize this might be the most important question the software industry has ever had to answer. So where does this all start? There's a research report, and it's one of the most unsettling things published in finance in years. It's called the 2028 Global Intelligence Crisis, published by a firm called Citrini Research. And it doesn't describe something that has already happened. It describes something that could happen. A detailed hypothetical scenario of what the economy looks like when AI stops being the tool and starts being the worker. The core idea is this. For the entire history of modern economics, human intelligence has been the scarce resource. Everything was priced around it. Salaries, software, consulting, expertise. The whole economy was essentially a giant system built to organize, deploy, and monetize human brain power. And according to Citrini Research, we're now experiencing the unwind of that premium. Here is the specific mechanisms they describe. By late 2025, agentic coding tools, things like Anthropic's Claude Code and OpenAI's Codex, take a significant leap forward in capabilities. And suddenly, a competent developers with access to these tools can replicate the core functionality of a mid-market SaaS product in a matter of weeks. Now, if you're not in the software world, let me explain why that is terrifying. The SaaS business model, software as a service, is one of the most profitable inventions in business history. You build the software once, then you rent it to companies, forever on a per-seat subscription. Every employee who uses it is a billable seat. The more people the company hires, the more they pay you. It's recurring, it's predictable, it scales beautifully. And it works because switching costs are brutal. Your data's in there, your workflow is built around it, your team is trained on it. Migrating away is expensive, painful, and risky. So most companies just keep paying. But that entire model rests on one assumption: that building the software yourself is harder and more expensive than just renting it. The moment that assumption breaks, the whole thing unravels. Here is where the thought experiment stopped being theoretical. In early 2025, Anthropic announced something. Their Claude Code tool could automate the modernization of COBOL. If you don't know what COBOL is, it's an ancient programming language from the 1960s. And it still runs the world. Banks, airlines, governments, massive transaction systems that keeps the global economy humming are built on COBOL code that is older than most of the people maintaining it. Nobody touched COBOL. It was too complex, too arcane, too risky to mess with. And IBM built a $30 billion annual maintenance empire on exactly that fact. Legacy complexity was their moat. If you had COBOL systems, you needed IBM. Full stop. Then AI said, actually, we can handle that. IBM stock dropped 13.1% in a single day, its worst performance since the year 2000. The contagion spread fast. Investors start looking at every single software company through this lens. And the company that took the most direct hit was ServiceNow. ServiceNow is a workflow automation platform. Big enterprises use it to manage IT requests, HR processes, approvals, basically the operational plumbing of a large company. It's exactly the kind of product the Citrini scenario targets. Here is the feedback loop the report describes. A large company uses AI to cut its white-collar workforce by 15%. Fewer employees means 15% fewer software seats to pay for. So ServiceNow's revenue drops. ServiceNow then has to cut its own cost, which means cutting headcounts. And where does that money go? Into AI tools. The exact same technology that just ate their revenue. ServiceNow's projected annual contract value growth decelerates from 23% down to 14% in this scenario. Investors didn't want to find out if it was true. ServiceNow stock fell over 3%. Salesforce got dragged down, MongoDB, the whole sector. And then the executives start making moves that told you everything about how scared they actually were. ServiceNow CEO William McDermott halted his own planned stock sales. Then he announced he was personally buying $3 million of his own company shares. The company launched a $5 billion share repurchase program. Now, executives buying their own stocks can be a genuine sign of confidence, but it can also be a performance. A way of saying, look how calm I am, while the building is on fire. The question the market was quietly asking was, is McDermott catching a falling knife? And this is the part that gets really interesting. Because the AI companies realized something. The narratives was getting out of hand. If investors believed AI was going to replace all enterprise software, SaaS stocks crater. SaaS companies stop buying AI tools. Enterprise adoption slows. That's bad for everyone, including Anthropic. So they did what any company would do when the market is scared. They threw a briefing. Anthropic hosted a live virtual event called the Enterprise Agent Briefing. The entire purpose was to shift the story from AI will replace your software to AI will work with your software. They announced 10 new integrations. Claude plugging directly into Salesforce, Slack, Google Drive, DocuSign, real partnerships, real product, real enterprise workflow. And Scott White, Anthropic's head of enterprise product, said something very deliberately. It's not a product that just tries to own every workflow. We're providing infrastructure and intelligence so our partner and customers can bring their business knowledge, their expertise, their trusted relationship into the equation. Translation, we're not here to eat your lunch. We're here to make your lunch better. Wall Street analysts lined up to echo it. Wedbush argued that people were confusing what a foundational model can do in a demo with what it actually takes to run an enterprise software at scale. AI models don't have workflow orchestrations. They don't have compliance infrastructure. They don't have enterprise-grade SLAs. There's a massive gap, they said, between capabilities and replacement. Deutsche Bank made a point that became something of a mantra. Claude is only as useful as the data it connects to, meaning AI needs SaaS. SaaS has the data, therefore SaaS survives. It worked, at least in the short term. Salesforce shares jumped 4%, FactSet up 5%, DocuSign up nearly 6%. The sector exhaled. The partnership narrative won the news cycle. AI and SaaS would work together. Everyone will be fine. The industry has simply been misunderstood. But then I want you to think about something, because I've heard this story before. Not about software, but about newspapers. Let's go back to 2006. Digital advertising is starting to eat into newspaper revenue. Not catastrophically yet, but the trend line is visible. Publishers are nervous. They're looking for ways to monetize online traffic, to modernize and to survive. And then Google came along with a very friendly pitch. They called it Google Print Ads. The idea was simple. Google would act as a middleman. Advertisers could buy print space in newspapers like the New York Times through an automated auction system. For newspapers, it meant access to Google's enormous advertiser base. For Google, it meant a friendly foot in the door of a $50 billion industry. It looked like a collaboration. Two industries finding a way to work together in a changing world. And the newspapers said yes. For a few years, it seemed fine. Google was helpful. They were driving advertising dollars into print. The partnership was real. Then in 2009, Google shut down Google Print Ads. They cited disappointing results. By 2011, Google had acquired a company called AdMeld, an ad tech platform that gave them near total control of programmatic digital advertising. They have systematically absorbed the entire market. And here is the detail that really stings. Researchers estimate that by 2018, Google was generating $4.7 billion per year from crawling and indexing news content. Content created by the very same newspapers they have once partnered with, without paying proportionately for any of it. The results for newspapers? Between 2010 and 2020, print advertising revenue fell by roughly 75%. More than 2,000 newspapers closed in the United States alone. The partnership was real, and then it wasn't. And by the time the newspaper had understood what has happened, the advertising market had already left. Now, let's come back to 2025. Deutsche Bank said Claude is only as useful as the data it connects to, and they mean it as reassurance, as a reason why SaaS companies are safe. But think about what that sentence actually means. It means Anthropic needs SaaS companies to open their APIs, to integrate Claude into their platforms, to let the AI model touch their data, the customer records, the workflow histories, the behavioral patterns built up over years. The newspaper opened their content, the SaaS companies are opening their data. In 2006, Google needed newspapers to understand the advertising market. In 2026, AI needs SaaS companies to understand enterprise workflows. The question that should keep every SaaS executive awake at night is not, will AI replace us? It's a quieter, more uncomfortable question. By integrating, are we training our own replacement? Are we watching a genuine partnership? Or a very polite acquisition of knowledge? To be fair, and this matters, SaaS companies are not standing still. They see the threat, they're moving. Salesforce is scrapping the per-seat models entirely for something they call an agentic enterprise licensing agreement. Fixed price, unlimited AI usage. ServiceNow and Microsoft are testing consumption-based pricing, trying to decouple their revenue from human headcounts before headcounts start shrinking. Compliance, security, audit trials, change management. These things are genuinely hard. AI models are not close to replacing that on their own. But here's the force that is working against all of that. The cost of AI is falling off a cliff. Leading inference providers using NVIDIA's new platform are cutting the cost per AI tokens by up to 10 times. New research from Google shows that smarter inference techniques, knowing when to stop generating early, can cut costs by another 50%. Every year, AI gets dramatically cheaper and dramatically more capable. Every year, the gap between what AI can do and what enterprise software does gets a little bit smaller. And Anthropic's head of economics puts it plainly. There is no aspect of the economy that is not set to change. Not software, not knowledge work, not SaaS. The entire economy, all of it. So where does that leave us? The SaaS incumbents believe they'll survive because they own the data, the security layer, the compliance infrastructure. They believe the switching cost is still real. They believe the relationships still matter. And they might be right. Or, and this is the part I can't stop thinking about, the underlying friction that they've been monetizing for the last decade might be quietly dissolving. Not dramatically, not all at once, just slowly. Like the newspapers watching classified ads migrating to Craigslist, display ads migrate to Google, readers migrate to social media. Each individual shift seems manageable. The cumulative effect was existential. The market stabilized because it was told a reassuring story. AI and SaaS will work together. Everyone has a role, the pie gets bigger. Maybe that is true. But the newspapers were told a pretty reassuring story too. And I think the honest answer, the one nobody will say out loud, is that we genuinely don't know how this ends. The AI companies won't say it. The SaaS executives can't afford to say it. The analysts are paid to have opinions, not admissions. What we do know is this. For the first time in the history of software, the question, should we just build this ourselves, has a plausible answer. And once a question like that becomes plausible, plausibility doesn't disappear. The repricing is already begun. Where it stops, nobody knows. If you enjoyed this video, which I assume because you made it this far, please leave a like and subscribe for more content just like this one. Check out my free newsletter on my website at pandacatfinance.com. Thanks as always for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.